The scout vessel hummed steadily as it approached the rugged surface of planet Thaler 3. Lieutenant Jacob Wren shifted in his co-pilot seat, trying not to glance again at the figure beside him. She was unlike any crew member he'd ever worked with. Sarah, a Thalvian recon specialist, sat tall in the pilot's chair. Her appearance was more animal than humanoid, her fur a smooth silver gray, with faint glowing lines tracing her shoulders, ears tall and pointed like a wild canine, and eyes of vibrant electric blue that flickered when she was focused. She barely blinked. "Are you always this tense?" she asked, not turning her gaze from the screen. Jacob forced a chuckle. "First time flying with someone who has a tail and claws. Forgive me." Her tail flicked behind her. "I assure you, I use both responsibly." Despite himself, he smiled. Sarah had a dry sense of humor that only appeared in flickers, but when it did, it cut through her otherwise commanding presence. Their mission was simple: survey suspected smuggler activity, record evidence, and leave undetected. But Thaler had unpredictable magnetic storms, and High Command insisted a Thalvian accompany human missions after a recent mishap. Sarah was assigned last minute. They landed with ease in a canyon that offered natural cover. As they stepped outside, Jacob's boots crunched against fine green grit. Sarah moved soundlessly, her claws retracting automatically. He admired how smoothly she moved, like a shadow gliding over ice. "Stay close," she said without looking back. "Your species tends to be loud." Jacob frowned. "I'm not loud. You are. Even now, breathing." He decided not to argue. As they hiked toward a rocky outcrop to set up surveillance, he noticed how the alien sky cast an eerie purple light across her silvery fur. She didn't walk like a human. She didn't move like one. But there was something captivating about her presence. Later, as they crouched behind a rise observing activity near a disguised hangar, Jacob's scanner began to flicker. A storm. Sarah's ears twitched, already picking up the subtle shift in electromagnetic frequencies before the device did. "We need shelter," she said calmly. Now. They moved fast. A cave in the cliff wall provided just enough room. Inside, the storm's howls echoed like distant screams. Jacob tried to get their emergency beacon online, but the interference was too strong. "Well, at least we're stuck here together," he muttered. She turned to him, head slightly tilted. "You say that like it's a complaint." "It's not." She gave the faintest smile. "Good." Hours passed. They sat shoulder to shoulder in the tight space. The warmth from her body seeped into his chilled bones. Her scent was strange, but not unpleasant, like sun-warmed metal and something wild. Jacob shifted. "So, do Thalvians do this often? Get stuck in caves with humans during lightning storms?" She leaned back against the stone wall. "This is a first, but I don't mind." Something about the way she said it made his pulse quicken. He glanced over and caught her watching him, those blue eyes softening in a way he hadn't seen before. "Your heartbeat's increasing," she said quietly. "You can hear that?" "Yes." Jacob cleared his throat. "I guess being next to a beautiful alien in a cave during a life-threatening storm does that to a guy." She didn't laugh, but her gaze stayed on him. "Your kind is so strange. You flirt even when you could die. It's the human way." She leaned in just a little. "Then I'll learn it." Before he could say another word, her clawed hand gently touched his chest right over his heart. Not a threat, a connection. Neither of them moved for a while. Eventually, they lay beside each other, warmth replacing fear, instincts guiding them into a rhythm older than species or protocol. It wasn't just attraction, it was something deeper, something unspoken that passed between them in the dark. Later, when the storm had passed and they were preparing to leave, Sarah stood silently, her hand resting on her abdomen. Jacob frowned. "You okay?" "I'm adapting," she said slowly, her voice unreadable. "To what?" She looked at him, unreadable as ever, but her tail flicked twice. To new life. Jacob laughed, not catching the weight of her words. That's dramatic. We'll be back at base in no time. But Sarah didn't laugh. She looked away, her hand still over her belly, and in that moment, Jacob missed the most important clue of his life. Back on base, life moved quickly, but something in Sarah had slowed. Jacob didn't notice at first. Their debriefing went smoothly, their reports sanitized of anything intimate. Just two operatives, trapped by a storm, completing a mission. Nothing more, but Sarah's behavior had changed. She wasn't avoiding him if anything. She seemed to hover nearby, often watching him when she thought he wasn't looking. During briefings, her ears would twitch subtly whenever he spoke. She was quiet, focused. But Jacob had begun to sense something else beneath that control. "Did you sleep at all last night?" he asked one morning as they walked side by side toward the training bay. Sarah didn't answer right away. "I rested." He raised an eyebrow. "That's not the same as sleeping." Her tail twitched once. "I was experiencing unfamiliar sensations." Jacob blinked. "What kind of sensations?" Her eyes flicked toward him, unreadable as ever. "Internal ones." He stopped walking. "Sarah, are you okay?" She sighed, the sound more feline than human, and kept walking. "I'm adapting." "You said that before, because it's still true." She clearly wasn't going to say more. Not yet. Jacob respected her space. After all, they were from different worlds literally, but something gnawed at him. Sarah wasn't just adjusting to a stressful mission. She was changing, and she was hiding it. That night, he knocked on her quarters. When she opened the door, he wasn't prepared for how pale her usually sleek fur had become. Her eyes were glowing faintly, and her posture was off, more guarded, more protective. "Jacob," she said softly, as if surprised to see him. "I'm not here as your partner," he said quickly. "I'm here as someone who cares." For a long moment, she didn't speak. Then, she stepped aside and let him in. Her quarters were immaculate, minimalist and alien, lit with cool blue lights. Several diagnostic devices were running, all centered around a single screen that displayed something Jacob didn't understand. Strange waveforms, rhythmic pulses, and overlapping patterns. He pointed at it. "What is that?" Sarah walked over and touched the screen lightly. "My internal scans." "Are you sick?" She turned, looking at him fully for the first time. "No, I'm pregnant." Jacob froze. The word landed like a comet. His mouth opened, closed, then opened again. "Wait. What?" She didn't flinch. Thalvian biology is adaptive. In rare cases, extremely rare, our bodies can accept compatible genetic material from another species. Our evolution ensured we could survive in diverse environments by forming lasting bonds. His heart pounded. "You're saying we're compatible?" She stepped closer. "Our night in the cave, your presence, your biology triggered a sequence. I didn't expect it. I tried to ignore it, but the signs are clear now. My body is nurturing hybrid life." Jacob stared at her, stunned. Not because it wasn't possible he'd seen stranger things in the galaxy, but because the idea shook something deep inside him. "And you've known this since we got back," I suspected, "but I didn't want to burden you." Her voice dropped lower. "Thalvian pregnancies are rare, especially with another species. It's never been recorded with a human. Not in living memory." He sat heavily in a nearby chair. "Okay, so what does this mean?" She joined him, her hand resting over her abdomen. "It means that something ancient and impossible just became real. It means I'm carrying life created between our two species, and it means," her eyes softened, "that you're part of me now." Jacob looked into her glowing eyes and saw no fear, only quiet wonder. "I don't know what to say," he whispered. "Then don't say anything," she said gently. "Just feel what I feel." He reached out and placed his hand over hers. where her belly rose gently beneath her uniform. He didn't feel movement, not yet, but he felt the warmth, the pulse of something new, and the weight of a future neither of them had imagined. "You're not alone," he said, his voice firm now. "Whatever this is, however strange, it's ours." Her tail brushed against his leg, curling once before retreating. For the first time since returning to base, Sarah smiled fully, openly. "I was hoping you'd say that." The next morning, Jacob barely had time to process the life-altering news before the base's routine kicked in. Standard quarterly medical scans for all reconnaissance operatives had come up, and ignoring them wasn't an option, especially not without triggering suspicion. Sarah stood beside him outside the med bay, her arms folded, her ears stiff with tension. She hadn't slept, and he could tell. Her tail twitched with every pass of personnel through the hallway. "This is a bad idea," she muttered, her voice low. Jacob leaned in. "Refusing the scan would raise more alarms than taking it. I don't want to be analyzed." "You won't be. Not if we get Prell." Dr. Prell was an older Garian physician, known for his discretion. His species had 4 small eyes, and an almost insect-like composure, always calm, always methodical. If anyone could keep things confidential, it was him. They stepped into the med bay just as Prell was finishing with another officer, Lieutenant Wren, Specialist Sarah. He looked up. All 4 of his eyes narrowed slightly at the sight of them together. "Together today, are we?" Sarah responded coolly. "Efficiency," Prell gestured to a scanning unit. "Standard biofield read. Should only take a moment." Jacob went first, doing his best to appear bored and routine. The scanner blinked green, healthy. Sarah hesitated, then stepped into the pod. As the device hummed and pulsed with light, Jacob watched her eyes shift, not with fear, but readiness, like she was bracing for battle. The scanner finished, and Prell pulled the data onto his console. His 4 eyes scanned the results once, twice, then froze. "I'll need to run that again." Sarah stepped forward quickly. "Why?" "There's a biosignature anomaly. Likely a data glitch," Prell said, though his tone carried doubt. "May I?" Sarah stiffened. Jacob noticed how her fingers curled slightly, claws ready. "Doctor," Jacob said calmly, stepping between them, "would you allow us a private consult? Just you and us?" Prell studied them. He was too smart not to know something was off. After a pause, he nodded. "Exam room 3, now." Inside the private room, Sarah paced. Jacob stood beside her, arms crossed. Prell closed the door with a hiss. "I assume this isn't a glitch," he said dryly. Sarah turned. "You're correct," Prell sat. "Then I'd suggest you explain before I'm required to file a report." Jacob spoke up. "Sarah is pregnant." The doctor blinked, all 4 eyes at once. "I'm sorry. She's pregnant," Jacob repeated. "With my child." Silence fell like a dropped weight. Prell finally exhaled. "That's biologically improbable, unprecedented," Sarah corrected, "but not impossible. Thalvian biology is designed to adapt to survival. Reproductive flexibility is part of our evolutionary history." Prell pulled up the scan again, eyes flitting rapidly over the data. "These readings, they do show a hybrid signature, unstable but growth rhythm is consistent with Thalvian gestation, but the protein structures some are human." He leaned back, silent for a long moment. "This changes everything." Jacob's voice was firm. "We're asking for discretion." Prell looked at them both. "You realize the magnitude of this, the political implications, the scientific fallout." Sarah stepped forward. "Right now, none of that matters. I'm carrying life. It's not a theory. It's not a case study. It's a reality. And we want time to understand what it means before it's turned into a spectacle." Prell studied her. Then, surprisingly, he nodded. "You'll have 3 days. After that, I'm obligated to notify command." Jacob exhaled in relief. Thank you. Prail raised a hand. Don't thank me. Not yet. I'll monitor the pregnancy daily. If there's any sign of instability, genetic or otherwise, act immediately. Understood. They nodded together as they stepped out of the med bay and into the corridor. The air felt heavier. The clock had started ticking. Later that night, Jacob lay awake in his quarters, staring at the ceiling. He couldn't shake the image of Prell's scan those faint pulses of light, representing something he never thought possible. Sarah was curled beside him, breathing steady, her tail draped lightly across his waist like it had a mind of its own. He turned to look at her, watching the way her features softened in sleep. She wasn't just an alien operative anymore. She was something else, a part of him. And inside her, inside them, was the beginning of something that could rewrite what everyone believed about humans and alien compatibility. He whispered into the quiet, "We have 3 days to protect everything we are." Unseen, Sarah's ears twitched once in her sleep. Commander Ulrich wasn't known for warmth, but he was famous for 2 things: seeing through lies and noticing changes before anyone else did. So when Jacob and Sarah arrived late to the strategy review for the upcoming deployment, his pale gaze narrowed instantly. "You've never been late before," Lieutenant Ulrich said, his voice dry as Martian sand. Jacob straightened. "We had a medical follow-up together." The commander's antennae twitched. "Is there a reason you've become inseparable lately?" Sarah answered smoothly. "Thalvian coordination protocol encourages close operational synergy in hybrid teams." Ulrich murmured. He didn't push, but his gaze lingered. "You're both excused from field rotation this week. Directive from High Command apparently. Something about preserving critical assets." He turned, but his voice sharpened. "Don't make me regret protecting you." After the briefing, they walked silently through the base corridor. Jacob exhaled once they were out of earshot. "He suspects something. He's smart," Sarah said, "but he has no proof." They ducked into a quiet tech bay to talk. The lights flickered softly above them, casting cool shadows across her silver-gray fur. Her hands hovered over a diagnostic console, but she didn't touch it. "I feel exposed," she admitted. "Like any moment, they'll come for us. Not because we've done wrong, but because we've done something different." Jacob stepped closer. "What we've done is start something new. If they fear that, it's their problem." But the real problem arrived that same evening. A diplomatic shuttle touched down outside the command dome, its sleek black and gold finish unmistakable. Sarah stood at the observation deck, her tail frozen, mid-swish. Jacob joined her. "Who is it?" "Elder Melly," she whispered. "One of our species' most respected cultural leaders. If she's here, she already knows." By the time they reached the receiving platform, Commander Ulrich was already speaking with the Thalvian elder. Melly stood tall and regal in dark robes embroidered with ancient runes, her fur a snowy white, streaked with silver. Her eyes, like Sarah's, glowed softly, but carried the weight of 1,000 memories. Her gaze shifted immediately to Sarah. "You've changed," she said, voice low and melodic. "I can smell it on the wind. You carry life." The deck went still. Commander Ulrich turned to them slowly. "Is that true?" Jacob stepped forward, placing himself slightly in front of Sarah. "Yes." The commander's jaw tightened. "And when, exactly, were you planning to tell me?" "Soon," Sarah said. "But we needed time to understand it ourselves. It's not conventional." Melly took a step closer. "Your child is not a scandal. It is a miracle. A link that hasn't existed in generations. Your kind once intermingled with the stars, adapting, thriving, surviving. But this is something rare." Ulrich stared at the elder, unreadable. "And how do you propose we explain this to the Galactic Council?" Melly smiled faintly. "You don't. I will." The Thalvian people have ancient laws protecting life born of bond. This union, this pregnancy, it will be protected under our law. No one will touch them. Jacob's voice came quiet but sure. We're not asking for protection, we're asking for respect. You'll need both, Melly said. What grows inside her will attract attention far beyond this planet. Ulrich paced slowly, his boots echoing against the metal floor. Then he stopped. You've both broken regulations. If this were any other situation, I'd ground you, reassign you, and file 10 reports. But, he looked at them, then at the elder. Some things are bigger than protocol. He turned to Sarah. Do you intend to remain on active status? She shook her head. I can't. Not anymore. My instincts are changing. Fine, Ulrich said. You're both off field. Duty, effective immediately. You'll stay on base, assist in training, report to Prel for daily medical updates. Sarah's ears twitched. That's it, for now, he said. But this will go public. You need to prepare. Melly nodded. They will. With honor, I will initiate the Song of Blooming, our ceremonial recognition of new life, born from a true bond. Jacob blinked. That sounds big. It is, Melly said softly, and necessary. Later that night, Jacob stood in Sarah's quarters as she lit a ceremonial flame at the center of her room. It cast a soft orange glow. On her features, her abdomen had rounded slightly, no visible, undeniable. You're not scared? He asked. I am, she admitted, but I'm more excited. He moved beside her, placing a hand gently over her stomach. Then we'll face everything together. The politics, the attention, the unknown. Her eyes glowed warmly in the firelight. Together, she echoed. Outside, the stars over the planet shifted gently in the black sky, silent witnesses to a love that defied boundaries. Weeks passed like ripples through a calm sea, each day bringing subtle change. Sarah's body adapted rapidly. Her fur shimmered with a softer glow. Her instincts sharpened. Her steps became more cautious, protective, and slow yet still graceful. Jacob stayed at her side, ever present, helping with tasks she'd once done without thinking. He didn't need to be asked. He just knew. The base adapted too. What began as a whisper among officers soon became fact. Not scandal, not gossip, just reality. They were having a child. Correction. Children. Dr. Prell's latest scan showed 4 small heartbeats pulsing strong within Sarah's womb. Hybrid signatures. Human and Thalvian both. Prell stared at the monitor, blinking his 4 eyes in unison, each developing differently, but all viable. Sarah smiled faintly. Of course they are. Jacob stood beside her, holding her hand as her tail looped possessively around his ankle. The image of the scan 4, luminous, orbs gently rotating, left something in his chest permanently altered. After the medical checkup, they walked the outer edge of the base together. The gravity fields buzzed faintly above them, but beyond that, stars. Thousands of them, endless. I thought I understood my path, Sarah said as they walked slowly, born to track, to scout, to analyze. But now, I feel something new, as if my future was waiting all along behind a door I didn't know existed. Jacob chuckled softly. Mine was a life of quiet missions and cold food packs. You changed all of that. They stopped at a view deck. The sky above Thaler 3 was tinged violet in the night. Sarah leaned against him gently, one hand over her abdomen. Have you told your family? She asked. He shook his head. Not yet. How do you explain something like this in a message? Hey Mom, met an alien, got stuck in a cave. Now we're expecting puppies. Her ears perked forward. They're not puppies. They kinda are, he teased, nudging her shoulder. She growled playfully, then purred softly. I suppose, technically. That night, the Song of Blooming was held inside the Grand Halla, converted training chamber, now glowing with light and warmth. Elder Melly stood at the center, cloaked in ceremonial silver, her voice carrying a haunting melody in the old Thalvian tongue. The melody echoed in waves like a lullaby for the stars. Dozens of officers, Thalvian and human alike, stood in a wide circle. No cameras, no politics, just those who cared. Sarah wore traditional robes of her people, embroidered with symbols of dawn, of life, of cycles. She stood tall, proud, her belly rounded and unmistakable beneath the woven fabric. Beside her, Jacob wore a uniform adapted for ceremony, black with violet trim. When Elder Melly finished the song, she turned to the couple. This union was not planned by law or logic. It was written in something deeper: instinct, affection, trust, and now life. She reached out and gently placed both hands over Sarah's stomach. May these young be fierce and free. May they teach both their bloodlines new ways to love. And may the stars remember this day for what it is, a beginning. Everyone bowed. No one clapped. It wasn't that kind of moment. Later, in their shared quarters, Jacob pulled Sarah close as they curled on the wide platform that served as their bed, piled high with woven fabrics, soft textures, and calming scents. A proper nest. She had made it that way, piece by piece. "Are you nervous?" she asked quietly, tracing a finger along his arm. "I'm terrified," he said, "but in the best possible way. For Pups, for miracles." Her ears flattened gently as emotions swelled. "I don't know what they'll face. Our children, what rules they'll break by simply existing." He kissed her forehead. "Then we'll teach them how to be stronger than rules." Her tail curled around them both. Outside, stars moved slowly across the black, silent and ancient. Inside, wrapped in warmth and love, they drifted into sleep. And in the depths of Sarah's body, 4 tiny heartbeats pulsed like sparks against the night for futures, waiting to rise.